I woke up on the fourth day after my emergency hysterectomy to the crushing realization that none of my 5 children had shown up. Not one. The morphine was wearing off, and the physical pain was nothing compared to the hollowness spreading through my chest as I stared at the empty chair beside my hospital bed. Marcus had texted on day 1. "On my way, Mom. Just wrapping up a meeting." That was at 2 in the afternoon. By 8 that evening, nothing. I told myself he got caught up. Marcus was always busy with his financial consulting firm in Manhattan. He'd come tomorrow. Day 2, I woke up expecting to see him. Instead, a massive arrangement of purple orchids arrived with a card that read, "Thinking of you, Mom. Love, Vanessa." Printed, not even her handwriting. I held that card for 20 minutes, trying to find something personal in those generic words. There was nothing. I started calling on day 3. Marcus didn't answer. He texted back 2 hours later. "Brittany's sick. Taking care of her. We'll try to come soon." I read that message 5 times. He was taking care of his wife. Of course he was. That's what you do when someone you love is sick. The irony didn't escape me, but I pushed it down. Told myself I was being unreasonable. Brittany needed him. Vanessa answered on the 3rd ring, but I could hear the impatience in her voice immediately. "Mom, hi. I literally have 30 seconds. We're in a major crisis with the Henderson account, and I'm about to walk into—" "I just wanted to hear your voice," I said quietly. There was a pause. Not the warm kind. The kind where someone is calculating how quickly they can end a conversation. "I know, Mom. I'm so sorry about the surgery. Are you okay? The nurses are taking good care of you, right?" "Yes, but—" "Good, that's good. Listen, I really have to go. This client is worth $3 million to the firm, and if I don't handle this personally, Janet will swoop in, and I cannot let that happen right now. I'll call you tonight, okay?" She didn't call that night. Trevor's phone went straight to voicemail. All 3 times I tried. Damien sent an email. "Dear Mother, I hope your surgery went well. I'm currently in the critical phase of a billion-dollar merger, and unfortunately cannot step away. The hospital has excellent staff. You're in good hands. We'll visit when this closes. Best, Damien." Best, not love. Best. Isabel called me on day 3, and for a moment, my heart lifted. My baby girl. "Mom, oh my God, I'm so sorry I haven't been there. I'm in LA right now with this incredible project that could literally change my entire career. This designer saw my portfolio and wants me to do her entire Malibu beach house, and if I nail this, it could lead to so many connections and—" "When are you coming home?" I asked. "Soon, Mom, I promise, as soon as I wrap this up. How are you feeling?" "I'm alone," I said, and my voice cracked despite my best efforts. "You're not alone. You have the nurses. And you're so strong, Mom. You've always been so strong. You'll be fine. I have to go. The client is calling. Love you." She hung up before I could say I loved her back. Day 4. That's when it truly hit me. When I stopped making excuses for them and faced the simple, devastating truth. They weren't coming. None of them were coming. The nurse who came in that morning was Patricia. I'd seen her the previous days, but she was different today. She wasn't just checking my vitals with professional efficiency. She was looking at me, really looking at me. Her dark eyes were kind, but concerned in a way that made me want to cry. "How are we feeling today, Mrs. Hartwell?" she asked gently. "Fine," I lied. She didn't move to check the monitors. She just stood there, and I could feel her seeing right through me. "I noticed you haven't had any visitors." I forced a smile. "My children are very busy. Important careers, you know. They're coming soon." Patricia nodded slowly, but she didn't look convinced. She didn't push it, though. She just squeezed my hand briefly before checking my vitals and leaving. But that small gesture of human kindness from a stranger undid something in me. After she left, I cried for the first time since waking up from surgery. Not from pain, from loneliness so profound it felt like drowning. Days 5 and 6 blurred together. I stopped calling. What was the point? I knew the script now. Marcus would have another excuse. Vanessa would sound rushed. Trevor wouldn't answer. Damien would send another formal email. Isabel would promise to come soon, in that bright, dismissive voice that made me feel like I was being dramatic for needing anything at all. I built a fortune from nothing. I started my financial consulting firm at 28 with $5,000 and a dream, working 70-hour weeks while pregnant with Vanessa. By the time I was 52, I was worth $12 million. $12 million. I retired early to enjoy my family, to be the mother I'd always wanted to be, but had been too busy building our future to fully embrace. After my husband Richard died 8 years ago, I poured everything into my children. Everything. Marcus got $180,000 to start his own consulting firm. Vanessa received a $420,000 apartment as a wedding gift. Trevor, my eternal optimist, my dreamer, I funded 3 failed businesses without question. $340,000 gone. But I never stopped believing in him because that's what mothers do. They believe. Damien never asked for anything, which somehow made me want to give him more. I paid off his law school loans, bought him a car when he made junior partner. Isabel, my baby, still received $3,000 a month in allowance at 26 because she was getting established. I never set limits because I thought love meant infinite availability, unconditional generosity. I was wrong. On day 7, Patricia came in during the morning shift, and this time she pulled up that empty chair and sat down. "Mrs. Hartwell, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me." I looked at her. This woman I'd known for a week who had shown me more consistent care than my own children. "Did anyone come to see you? In 7 days, has a single person from your family walked through that door?" The question hung in the air between us. I could have lied. I wanted to lie. But something about the genuine concern in her eyes, the lack of judgment, just pure human compassion, it broke down every defense I had left. "No," I whispered. "No one came." Patricia's jaw tightened. "You have 5 children." "Yes. And none of them have been here? Not once in 7 days?" I shook my head. Tears started falling and I couldn't stop them. They promised. The night before my surgery, we had a video call, all 5 of them. They promised they'd be here. Marcus said, "We'll take care of you, Mom. Don't worry." Vanessa agreed. They all did. I believed them. Patricia reached out and took both my hands in hers. "I'm going to document this in your medical records." "Why?" I asked, confused. "Because in 20 years of nursing, I have never, and I mean never, seen a patient with 5 healthy, living adult children go 7 days without a single visit after major surgery. Not once. This isn't normal, Mrs. Hartwell. This isn't okay." Her words should have made me feel validated, but instead they just made the abandonment feel more real. If it was shocking to a stranger, what did that say about my children? About the family I'd devoted my entire life to building? "Maybe I'm being unreasonable," I said weakly. "They have their own lives, their own problems." "Do you know what I see every day in this hospital?" Patricia asked. "I see adult children who rearrange their entire lives to be here for their parents. I see them sleeping in these uncomfortable chairs, taking unpaid leave from work, flying across the country. I see them doing whatever it takes because that's what family does. That's what love looks like in action, not just in words." I spent days 8, 9, and 10 in a haze of pain and growing clarity. I sent messages to each of them, desperate messages explaining that I needed help getting to the bathroom, that I was scared, that the loneliness was becoming unbearable. Marcus responded, "Next week gets better. Hang in there." Like I was going through a rough patch at work, not recovering from major surgery completely alone. Vanessa sent a 40-second voice message about how complicated her divorce from Preston was getting, how he was trying to take everything, how humiliating it was that he'd been cheating with his assistant. I listened to it 3 times, waiting for her to ask how I was doing. She never did. Trevor finally answered a call on day 9. "Mom, hey, I'm so glad you called. Listen, I'm in the middle of something intense with some investors, but I promise I'm going to come see you as soon as I get this sorted out. This deal could save everything, you know? I just need a few more days." "I need you now, Trevor," I said. My voice sounded small, broken. "I know, Mom, I know. And I'll be there, I promise. Just hold on a little longer for me, okay? You're tough. You've always been tough." He never came. Damien sent flowers on day 10. Expensive ones. Roses. The card said, "Wishing you a speedy recovery." I stared at those flowers and felt absolutely nothing. Isabel stopped responding entirely after day 8. My calls went to voicemail. My texts showed as read, but unanswered. On day 11, I had a complete emotional breakdown. Patricia found me sobbing so hard I could barely breathe. She held me like I was her own mother. This stranger who owed me nothing showed me more maternal care than I was receiving from the 5 people I'd given life to. "You need to reconsider certain relationships," Patricia said quietly. "I know that's hard to hear about your own children, but Mrs. Hartwell, this isn't love. I don't know what this is, but it's not love." That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in that hospital bed staring at the ceiling, and for the first time in 36 years of motherhood, I let myself think the unthinkable. What if my children didn't love me? What if they loved what I provided, what I represented, what I could give them, but not actually me? What if I'd spent decades confusing financial generosity with building genuine relationship, and they'd learned to see me as a resource rather than a person? The thought was so painful, I almost pushed it away. But I didn't. I sat with it. I examined it from every angle. And the more I looked at the evidence, the more undeniable it became. On day 12, I made a decision. I picked up my phone and called Leonard Finch. Leonard had been Richard's attorney, a man my husband trusted implicitly. I'd kept him on retainer after Richard died, mostly for estate planning and financial matters. "Eloise," Leonard answered warmly. "How are you? I heard about your surgery." "How did you hear?" I asked. "Your assistant mentioned it when I called your office about something last week. I sent flowers. Did you not receive them?" I looked around my room. There were flowers from Damien, from Vanessa, from my company's board of directors. I found Leonard's arrangement, tucked in the corner. Roses and lilies. The card read, "Thinking of you during your recovery. Call if you need anything. Leonard." An attorney I saw maybe twice a year had sent more thoughtful flowers and made himself available more clearly than my own children. "I need you to come to the hospital," I said. "I need to change my will. Immediately." There was a pause. "That's a significant decision to make while recovering from surgery. Perhaps we should wait until—" "Leonard, I've been here for 12 days. Not one of my 5 children has visited me. Not once. I need you to come today, and I need you to bring Sarah Brennan." Sarah Brennan was a specialist in family mediation and estate law. I'd met her at a charity function years ago. She had a reputation for handling complex family dynamics with surgical precision. "I'll be there in 2 hours," Leonard said, and I heard the shift in his tone, from casual concern to professional focus. He arrived 90 minutes later with Sarah. They pulled up chairs on either side of my bed, and I told them everything. Every promise, every excuse, every day of abandonment. Leonard's expression grew darker as I spoke. Sarah took notes with a neutral face, but I saw her jaw tighten when I described Isabel's bright dismissal of my pain. "I've known your children since they were young," Leonard said carefully. "I always thought they were charming. But I'll be honest, Eloise. I also always thought they were users. Richard saw it too toward the end. He mentioned it once. Said he was worried about what would happen to you after he was gone, that you'd give them everything and they'd take it all without appreciation." The words stung, but they also rang true. Richard had been more pragmatic about the children than I'd ever allowed myself to be. Sarah leaned forward. "Mrs. Hartwell, I need to ask you some direct questions. Have you created financial dependency in your adult children?" "Yes," I admitted. "Have you consistently provided financial support without requiring any reciprocal responsibility or emotional investment from them?" "Yes." "Has this pattern been going on for decades?" "Yes," Sarah nodded. "Then I'm going to tell you something that might be difficult to hear. You didn't create this situation alone, but you enabled it. You taught them that your love was transactional and one-directional. They could take endlessly without giving back. You provided resources without expecting respect. And now when you need them, they see you as an inconvenience rather than a person because you've never required them to see you any other way." Her words felt like a slap, but they were true. Every single word was true. "Can I fix it?" I asked. "Not by continuing the same patterns," Sarah said. "But yes, you can change the dynamic. It starts with consequences. Real consequences." Over the next 2 days, Leonard and Sarah returned with documents. I read every word multiple times. They were creating conditional trusts, restructuring my entire estate. My $12 million would no longer be divided equally among my 5 children upon my death. Instead, Distribution would be based on demonstrated character, financial responsibility, honesty, and genuine familial care, evaluated by an independent committee over a 5-year period. My children would have to prove they loved me through actions, not just words. They'd have to rebuild a relationship with me based on authentic connection, not financial expectation, or they could continue as they were and receive nothing. On day 13, I signed everything. My hand shook, but not from physical weakness, from the weight of what I was doing, from 36 years of unconditional giving, finally meeting its limit. On day 14, Leonard and Sarah finalized the legal work. Emergency provisions were added. If any of my children contested the new will, they would be automatically and permanently disinherited. Every protection possible was built in. On day 15, I was discharged. Patricia hugged me goodbye with tears in her eyes. "You deserve so much better than this," she whispered. "I know," I said, and for the first time in 2 weeks, I meant it. Leonard and Sarah picked me up in a black town car. As we drove toward my home in Greenwich, Connecticut, the home where I'd raised 5 ungrateful children, Leonard explained the plan. Mandatory family meeting tonight. Attendance non-negotiable under threat of immediate disinheritance. Sarah had already sent formal summons via email and legal notice to each of them 3 hours ago. "Marcus, Vanessa, and Damien have already confirmed they're on their way to your house," Sarah said, checking her phone. "Trevor and Isabel are calling in, claiming they're rushing back but can't make it in time." Of course they were. We pulled up to my mansion, and I saw 3 cars already parked in the circular driveway. Marcus's BMW, Vanessa's Mercedes, Damien's Audi, all expensive cars I'd helped them afford. I stepped out of the town car flanked by my 2 attorneys. The front door of my own home felt foreign somehow, like I was seeing it with new eyes. I walked through it with Leonard on my left and Sarah on my right. Marcus was pacing in the foyer. He looked pale. Vanessa was sitting on the antique bench, her perfectly manicured hands twisting together nervously. Damien stood by the window, his lawyer instincts clearly telling him something serious was happening. Marcus saw me first. "Mom, thank God you're okay. We were so worried." I held up my hand. He stopped talking immediately. Something in my face must have told him this wasn't the time for empty reassurances. Vanessa stood and moved toward me with her arms out for a hug. I stepped back. She froze, hurt flashing across her face. Good. Now she knew how it felt. "Sit down," I said quietly. "All of you," in the dining room. They followed like children who'd been called to the principal's office. Sarah's phone buzzed. "Trevor and Isabel are on video call, ready when you are." I walked to the head of the dining room table where we'd celebrated 1,000 family meals, where I'd served them everything they could ever want, where I'd given and given and given until I had nothing left but the painful clarity of abandonment. I sat down. Leonard and Sarah flanked me. My 3 children sat across from me looking increasingly terrified. Sarah set up her tablet, showing Trevor and Isabel on a split-screen video call. "Good," Sarah said coolly. "Everyone's here. We have a lot to discuss about the future of Mrs. Hartwell's estate." And that's when I saw it. The flash of panic in Marcus's eyes, the calculation in Vanessa's expression, the fear in Damien's carefully controlled face. They knew. They knew exactly why they were here. Leonard began distributing copies of the new will. I watched each face as they started reading. Confusion first, then shock, then horror. This was just the beginning. I need to go back. Back to before the hospital, before the surgery, before everything fell apart. Back to when I still believed in the family I'd built. 28 years old, pregnant with Vanessa, working 18-hour days to build my consulting firm. That's where it started. Richard was supportive in his own way, but he was building his construction company, and we were both drowning in ambition and diapers and dreams of giving our children everything we never had. I grew up poor, truly poor. Government cheese poor, second-hand everything poor. I swore my children would never know that kind of want, and they didn't. God, they didn't. By the time Marcus was born 2 years before Vanessa, I was already making 6 figures. By the time Trevor came along, we'd bought the Greenwich house, the mansion really, 8 bedrooms, pool, tennis court, everything I'd dreamed of as a little girl sharing a bedroom with 3 sisters. I remember the exact moment I decided to retire early. I was 52, sitting in my corner office overlooking Manhattan, and my assistant buzzed to tell me Isabel was on the line from college. My baby, calling in tears because her roommate situation wasn't working out. I was in the middle of a $15 million deal negotiation, and I had to tell my crying daughter I'd call her back. I closed that deal, made my clients another fortune, went home that night and told Richard I was done. He'd looked at me like I was crazy. Done with what? Done choosing work over family. I've built enough. We have enough. More than enough. I want to actually be present for our children while I still can. Richard had died 6 months later. Massive heart attack at 62, right there in his office. No warning. Healthy one day, gone the next. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd retired to enjoy family, and suddenly half of that equation was gone. That's when I really leaned in. That's when I became the mother I thought they needed. The always available, always generous, always understanding mother who would fix every problem with love and money. Mostly money, if I'm being honest now. Marcus came to me 3 years after Richard died, 33 years old, wanting to start his own consulting firm. I can't work for someone else anymore, Mom. I have ideas, vision. I just need capital to get started. I wrote him a check for $180,000. Didn't hesitate. My boy, my firstborn, my brilliant son who'd graduated top of his class from Wharton. Of course I believed in him. He bought a BMW first. Image matters in this business, Mom. Clients need to see success. I told myself he was right. Appearance matters. Vanessa's wedding to Preston was $300,000. The dress alone was $18,000. I paid for everything because that's what mothers do, right? And when they bought their first apartment, I gifted them the down payment, $420,000. It's an investment in your future, sweetheart, I told her. She cried and thanked me. I felt like the best mother in the world. Trevor was different. Trevor was Richard's favorite, and maybe that's why I had such a blind spot for him. My husband had loved Trevor's entrepreneurial spirit, his willingness to take risks, his eternal optimism. After Richard died, I felt like I owed it to both of them to keep believing. First business, organic dog food subscription service. It's the future, Mom. Pet owners will pay premium for quality. I invested $80,000. It folded in 18 months. Second business, app connecting college students with local internships. This is going to revolutionize career development, Mom. $90,000. Dead in 2 years. Third business, sustainable fashion resale platform. Think Poshmark but ethical, Mom. $170,000. Lasted 11 months. $340,000. Gone. And each time, Trevor would come to me with tears in his eyes, explaining what went wrong, what he'd learned, how the next idea was the one. And each time, I believed him because I wanted to. Because Richard would have wanted me to. Because what kind of mother stops believing in her child? Damien never asked for anything, which somehow made me want to give more. He worked so hard, so quietly. Made junior partner at 28. I was so proud. I paid off his law school loans without him asking. $135,000. Bought him a car when he made partner. $68,000. He thanked me politely, professionally, and I told myself his reserved nature was just his personality, not emotional distance. And Isabel, my baby. The surprise pregnancy when I was 44 and thought I was done. She was spoiled from day one. I can admit that now. But she was also the sweetest child, the most affectionate, always climbing into my lap, always saying, "I love you, Mommy," without being prompted. When she graduated from design school and wanted to freelance instead of working for a firm, I supported her. $3,000 a month for living expenses while she built her portfolio. That was 2 years ago. She's 26 now, still receiving those monthly deposits. I never added it all up until Patricia's question forced me to really look at what I'd created. Over $2 million given to my children in the 8 years since Richard died. Not loaned, given. No expectations of repayment, no requirements of responsibility, just endless generosity that I called love. The week before my surgery, I'd started feeling sharp pains in my abdomen. I ignored them for 3 days because Vanessa was going through something with Preston and calling me every night crying. On the 4th day, I nearly collapsed in my kitchen. My housekeeper Maria found me and insisted on driving me to the emergency room. ovarian cyst that had ruptured, causing internal bleeding and complications. Emergency hysterectomy needed immediately. I was terrified. Not of the surgery itself, but of being alone through it. Of facing something this serious without Richard. I called all 5 children from the pre-op room. Got Marcus on the phone first. "Mom, okay, don't panic. These surgeries are routine now. You're going to be fine. When is it?" "Tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. "Tomorrow? Jesus, that's fast." "Okay, I'll figure out my schedule. Don't worry, Mom. We've got you." Vanessa answered crying. Her crying, not about my surgery. "Mom, Preston's lawyer just sent over the most insulting offer. He's trying to claim I was unfaithful. Can you believe that? After what he did with that little slut assistant of his? Honey, I need to tell you something. I'm having surgery tomorrow." "What? Oh God, what kind of surgery?" "Hysterectomy. Emergency. There's internal bleeding." "Oh, Mom, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? Do you need anything? I can probably come by after my deposition on Thursday." The surgery was on Tuesday. Her deposition was Thursday. I didn't say anything. What was there to say? Trevor's voicemail picked up. I left a message. "Trevor, honey, it's Mom. I'm having emergency surgery tomorrow morning. Please call me back when you get this." He texted 4 hours later. "Mom just saw your message. Surgery? Are you okay? Call me." I called. Voicemail again. I texted. "Hysterectomy tomorrow, 7 a.m. Internal bleeding. Scared." He replied, "You're the strongest woman I know. You'll crush this. Love you. Crush this." Like it was a business presentation. Damien I reached via email because he rarely answered his phone. "Dear Mother, I'm very sorry to hear about your medical situation. Please keep me informed of the outcome. I'm currently in London for depositions, but will be back stateside next week. Wishing you the best possible result. Damien." Wishing me the best possible result. Like I was a case he was monitoring. Isabel answered on the first ring. Thank God. "Mommy, hi. I'm so glad you called. You won't believe what happened today. So that designer I told you about, the one with the Malibu house, she just referred me to her friend who has a place in Santa Barbara and, Isabel, I'm having surgery tomorrow." "What? Why? What's wrong?" I explained. She gasped appropriately, made concerned noises, and then said, "Do you want me to come home? Because I can probably get a flight tonight if you really need me. But this Santa Barbara project is kind of time-sensitive and—" "No, honey. It's okay. Focus on your work. Are you sure? Because I can come if you really need me." I knew she wouldn't. I could hear it in her voice. The offer was genuine, but hollow, like she was saying what she knew she should say while hoping I wouldn't take her up on it. "I'm sure. Your project is important." "Okay, but I'll call you as soon as you're out of surgery. Text me when you're awake, okay?" That night, I suggested we do a family video call, just to see everyone's faces before going under. They all agreed. We scheduled it for 8 p.m. At 8, I opened the Zoom link. Marcus appeared first, his home office visible behind him. Then Vanessa, looking exhausted and angry. Trevor joined from what looked like a coffee shop. Damien was in a hotel room somewhere, still in his suit. Isabel was last, her face bright and smiling. "Hi, Mom," they chorused with varying degrees of enthusiasm. I looked at my 5 children, all grown, all successful in their own ways, all beautiful. "I just wanted to see you all before tomorrow, in case anything goes wrong." "Nothing's going to go wrong," Marcus said firmly. "You're healthy, the hospital is excellent, this is routine. But if something did—" "Mom, don't talk like that," Vanessa interrupted. "You're going to be fine. We can't lose you. You're the glue that holds this family together. The glue, the checkbook, the safety net, the endless well of resources. I need to know you'll be there," I said quietly. "When I wake up, I don't want to be alone." "Of course we'll be there," Marcus said. The others nodded. "We'll take care of you, Mom. Don't worry. That's what family does. We take care of each other." Trevor grinned. "You've taken care of us our whole lives. Now it's our turn." Damien gave a rare smile. "You won't be alone, Mother. I promise." Isabel blew me a kiss. "We love you so much, Mommy. Everything's going to be perfect." I went into surgery the next morning believing them. Believing that the love I'd poured into them for 36 years, the sacrifices, the money, the endless availability, the unconditional support, that all of it had built something real, something that would hold when I needed it to. I was wrong. When I woke up from anesthesia, groggy and nauseated and in pain, the first thing I did was look for them. The nurse told me visiting hours had started 2 hours ago. The chair beside my bed was empty. It stayed empty for 15 days. And now, sitting at the head of my dining room table, with my attorneys beside me and my children staring at me with growing horror, I understood something I should have seen years ago. I hadn't raised children. I'd raised dependents. Beautiful, charming, articulate dependents who knew exactly how to say I love you, while meaning I need you. That was about to change. Marcus was the first to finish reading. I watched the color drain from his face as he looked up at me, then at Leonard, then back at the document in his hands. This can't be serious. It's completely serious, Leonard said calmly, and completely legal. Vanessa was still reading, her finger moving down the page, her perfectly applied makeup doing nothing to hide the panic spreading across her features. Damien had that lawyer look on his face, the one where he was already 3 steps ahead, analyzing every angle, every possible challenge. On the tablet screen, Trevor's face was frozen in confusion. Wait, can someone explain what's happening? The connection here is terrible. I can barely see the document. I'll explain it very simply, Sarah said, her voice clinical and precise. Your mother has restructured her entire estate. The $12 million inheritance you all presumably expected to split equally upon her death no longer exists in that form. What form does it exist in? Damien asked quietly, always the lawyer, cutting straight to the relevant question. Conditional trusts, Sarah continued. Distribution will be determined over a 5-year period based on demonstrated character, financial responsibility, honesty, and genuine familial care. An independent committee will evaluate each of you annually. Those who prove themselves worthy will receive their portion. Those who don't, won't. Worthy. Vanessa's voice went up an octave. What does that even mean? I spoke for the first time since sitting down. My voice was steady, which surprised me. It means exactly what it sounds like, Vanessa. It means you have to prove you love me through actions, not just words. It means I'm done being an ATM that occasionally receives a phone call. Marcus stood up abruptly. This is insane. You can't do this. We have rights. Sit down, Leonard said sharply. And I suggest you read Section 7 of that document very carefully before you say another word about your rights. Marcus sat, found Section 7. I watched his face change as he read it. Any challenge to this will result in immediate and permanent disinheritance, he read aloud. You're blackmailing us. I'm establishing boundaries, I corrected. Something I should have done 30 years ago. Mom, please. Isabel's voice came through the tablet speaker, small and scared. I don't understand. What did we do wrong? The question was so absurd, so completely lacking in self-awareness, that I actually laughed. It wasn't a kind laugh. What did you do wrong, Isabel? You want me to answer that? Yes, she whispered. Where were you 15 days ago? Silence. Where were you on September 15th when I had emergency surgery and woke up alone? I was in LA, I told you. You were in rehab, Sarah interrupted coolly. At Serenity Hills Treatment Center in Malibu. Admission date September 10th. You've been there for 5 weeks. Isabel's face on the screen went white. How did you? I'm very good at my job, Sarah said. And lying to your mother about why you couldn't visit her in the hospital while she was recovering from major surgery seemed like relevant information. I was embarrassed, Isabel said, tears starting. I didn't want you to know I was weak, that I'd failed. So you lied, I said. You made up an entire story about a design project and a career opportunity, and you let me believe you were choosing work over me when actually you were choosing to hide your problems from me, even when I was at my most vulnerable. That's not fair, she sobbed. I was struggling. I was in crisis. So was I said, and my voice finally cracked. I was terrified and in pain and completely alone, and you couldn't tell me the truth because you were more concerned with maintaining your image than with being honest with your own mother. Trevor cleared his throat on the screen. Mom, I can explain my situation too. The thing is, my business is going through a really critical phase right now, and if I'd left San Francisco at that exact moment, I would have lost everything. You've already lost everything, I said. Haven't you, Trevor? He froze. Your cryptocurrency app company, Cloudcoin Innovations. It's not going through a critical phase, it's bankrupt. You owe $580,000 to investors. 3 of them are college friends who trusted you. One of them has already filed a lawsuit. Trevor's face collapsed. How do you know that? Because I hired investigators, I said simply. I hired people to find out what was really going on in your lives. What you were really doing during those 15 days when you couldn't be bothered to visit your mother in the hospital. Marcus was very still. Too still. He knew what was coming. Marcus, would you like to tell your siblings about your debt situation, or should I? Mom, please don't do this, he said quietly. $340,000, I said. Credit cards, personal loans, a second mortgage on the apartment I helped you buy. All to maintain the appearance of success while your consulting firm slowly fails. And during the exact 2 weeks I was in the hospital, you were meeting with bankruptcy attorneys, weren't you? Marcus's jaw clenched. How I handle my business is my concern. It became my concern when your attorney advised you that showing up at my bedside during my incapacitation might complicate future estate proceedings. Didn't he, Marcus? Didn't your lawyer specifically tell you that excessive presence during a period when I was on pain medication could be used to challenge any inheritance you received, suggesting undue influence or coercion? The silence in that room was absolute. You stayed away, I continued, my voice shaking now, not because you were busy, not because of any emergency, but because your attorney told you that visiting your dying mother might interfere with your ability to get her money. She wasn't dying, Marcus said defensively. It was routine surgery. You didn't know that, I shot back. Complications happen. I could have died. And you chose money over the possibility of saying goodbye to your mother. Brittany, Marcus's wife, had been sitting quietly in the corner. She spoke up now, her voice defensive. That's not fair. Marcus was under tremendous pressure. We have a lifestyle to maintain. With my money, I said, looking at her. That lifestyle you're so desperate to maintain? The country club membership, the private school for kids you don't even have yet, the vacations in the Hamptons, all subsidized by the inheritance you assumed was coming. Well, Brittany, I have news for you. It's not coming. Not automatically. Not anymore. Vanessa had been uncharacteristically quiet. She spoke now, her voice tight. Mom, I know I should have been there. I know that. But Preston's attorney was using every single thing against me. I was afraid that if I showed weakness, if I showed that I had family obligations pulling me away from work, he'd use it to claim I wasn't as committed to my career as I claimed. The divorce settlement depends on proving my professional value. So you valued a divorce settlement over your mother, I said flatly. It's not that simple. Yes, Vanessa, it really is. You made a choice. You chose money over me. Just like Marcus chose his potential inheritance over me. Just like Trevor chose hiding his failure over me. Just like Isabel chose her pride over me. I turned to the screen where Damien's hotel room was visible. He'd been silent this entire time, his face unreadable. And you, Damien, what's your excuse? I don't have one, he said quietly. The honesty startled me. I was a coward, he continued. I was in the middle of the biggest case of my career, and I told myself that mattered more than a hospital visit. But that's not the whole truth. The whole truth is that Dylan wanted to come with me. He insisted. And I was terrified that if we showed up together at your bedside in that intimate setting, I'd have to tell you about him, about us. I'd have to risk your rejection when you already had so many other things to worry about. Dylan? Vanessa asked, confused. From off-screen in Damien's video feed, a voice said, Can I come in? Damien nodded. A man appeared beside him on the screen. Handsome, maybe 31 or 32, with kind eyes. Hi, Mrs. Hartwell. I'm Dylan. I'm Damien's partner. We've been together for 4 years. The room went completely silent. Marcus's mouth fell open. Vanessa looked stunned. Trevor's video feed showed him leaning forward, processing. Isabel had stopped crying. 4 years? I said quietly. You've been in a relationship for 4 years and you never told me? I was afraid, Damien said. Dad was so traditional. After he died, I thought maybe I could tell you, but the right moment never came. And then, It had been so long that telling you felt like admitting I'd been lying by omission. So I just kept hiding, kept pretending, and when you needed me most, I chose hiding over being there for you. I looked at this son of mine, this brilliant, accomplished, deeply unhappy man who'd spent 4 years hiding who he loved from his own family. Did you really think I would reject you? I don't know, he admitted, but I was too afraid to find out. Dylan spoke again. I told him we should go to the hospital together. I told him you needed him and that everything else could wait, but he was afraid of this, afraid of exactly this conversation. Well, now we're having it, I said. 4 years late, in the worst possible circumstances, but we're having it. Sarah checked her watch. If we could return to the matter at hand. No, I interrupted. We're going to address this. All of it. Because you all need to understand why I did what I did. I looked at each of them. I gave you everything. Everything. Money, support, unconditional love. I never said no. I never set limits. I never required you to stand on your own or prove anything or reciprocate in any meaningful way. And I thought I was being a good mother. I thought that's what love looked like. My voice was steady now, clear. But I was wrong. I wasn't building character. I was building dependency. I wasn't teaching you to value relationships. I was teaching you to value resources. I turned myself into a utility, not a person. And you all learned that lesson perfectly. That's not true, Vanessa protested. We love you. Do you? I asked. Do you love me, Vanessa? Or do you love what I provide? The safety net? The financial backup? The endless well of support that requires nothing back? Because love is supposed to be reciprocal. Love is supposed to show up. Love doesn't send expensive flowers with a generic card and call that sufficient. She flinched. I'm not saying you're bad people, I continued. I'm saying I failed you. I failed to teach you what real love looks like, what real family means, and now we're all paying the price for that failure. Marcus found his voice again. So this is our punishment? Financial blackmail disguised as life lessons? This is consequences, Leonard interjected. Something you should have experienced decades ago. The conditions are simple, Sarah said, opening her tablet. Over the next 5 years, you will each be evaluated on the following criteria: financial independence and responsibility, honest communication with your mother, consistent presence and support without expectation of immediate return, demonstrated personal growth and character development, and genuine investment in family relationships beyond material exchange. Who decides if we meet these criteria? Damien asked. An independent committee of 3 professionals, none of whom have any connection to your family. They will receive quarterly reports, conduct annual interviews, and make determinations based on objective evidence, not sentiment. This is absurd, Marcus said. You're treating us like children. You've been acting like children, I said. Children who take and never give back. Children who make promises they don't keep. Children who can't be inconvenienced for 15 days to visit their mother in the hospital. We had legitimate reasons, Vanessa started. Stop, I said, my voice hard. Stop making excuses. Stop justifying. Stop explaining. I don't want to hear it anymore. I lived it. I lay in that hospital bed for 15 days, making excuses for you in my own head, convincing myself you had good reasons, telling the nurses you were busy but you loved me. And I was lying. To them and to myself. Tears were running down my face now. I hadn't meant to cry, but I couldn't stop. Do you know what Patricia asked me on day 7? She asked if anyone had come to see me, and the way she asked it, with such gentle concern, made me realize how abnormal it was. How shocking that a patient with 5 healthy adult children could go a week without a single visit. We were going to come, Trevor said weakly. When? I demanded. Day 16? Day 20? Never? When exactly were you planning to show up, Trevor? After your investors gave up trying to get their money back? After your 4th business failed and you needed to pitch me number 5? He looked down, ashamed. And you, Marcus, when were you coming? After you'd finished meeting with every bankruptcy attorney in Manhattan? After you'd figured out how to preserve your lifestyle on my future corpse? That's cruel, Brittany said. You want to talk about cruel? I turned on her. Let me tell you what's cruel. Cruel is advising your husband not to visit his mother because it might complicate his inheritance. Cruel is treating a human being like a financial asset to be protected rather than a person who needed comfort. Don't you dare talk to me about cruel. Brittany stood up. I don't have to listen to this. Yes, you do, Leonard said. Unless Marcus wants to be immediately disinherited, you'll sit down and be quiet. She sat. I took a breath, trying to compose myself. I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to save you. Save us. Save whatever chance we have at being a real family instead of a financial arrangement. By threatening to take away our inheritance, Marcus said bitterly. It's not your inheritance, I said quietly. It's my money. Money I earned. Money I built from nothing. And I get to decide what to do with it. If you want it, you're going to have to earn it. Not by working for me, not by kissing up to me, but by becoming people of actual character. People who show up. People who care about something other than themselves. Isabel was crying again. Mom, I'm trying. I'm in rehab. I'm getting help. I know, baby, I said, and my voice softened slightly. And I'm proud of you for that. But you're there because you hit rock bottom, not because you chose growth, and you lied to me about it instead of trusting me with the truth. That has to change. What do you want from us? Vanessa asked, and she sounded exhausted. I want you to be honest, I said. I want you to be present. I want you to think about someone other than yourselves. I want you to build lives that don't require constant financial support from me. I want you to visit because you want to see me, not because you need something. I want what I should have required from the beginning. Basic human decency and reciprocal love. And if we can't do that? Marcus asked. If we fail your tests? Then you'll have proven that I was right, I said. That the relationship was transactional all along. That you never really loved me as a person. And you'll lose the inheritance because you'll have lost the relationship that justified it. Sarah stood. You each have copies of the full documentation. I suggest you read them carefully. Consult your own attorneys if you wish, though I'll warn you now that this is airtight. Your mother has every legal right to structure her estate however she chooses. We could still contest, Marcus began, and be instantly disinherited, Leonard finished. The choice is yours, Marcus. Try to fight this in court and lose everything guaranteed, or accept the terms and actually have a chance at the inheritance by becoming a better person. Damien cleared his throat. Can I say something? I nodded. I think Mom's right, he said quietly. The other four stared at him like he'd betrayed them. I think we've taken her for granted our entire adult lives. I think we've treated her like a bank and a safety net instead of a human being. And I think we all need to do some serious self-examination about what kind of people we've become. Easy for you to say, Marcus snapped. You don't have my debt. No, I have 4 years of lies to deal with, Damien said. 4 years of hiding who I am because I was too coward to risk anything. That's not Mom's fault. That's mine. Dylan squeezed Damien's shoulder on the screen. The gesture was small, but intimate, and I felt a pang of sadness. 4 years of this relationship I'd never seen. 4 years of him being alone because he was afraid of me. I'm sorry I made you afraid to tell me about Dylan, I said to Damien. That's on me. That's my failure, too. He looked surprised. You're not angry? Disappointed? I'm disappointed you hid it, I said. I'm sad you felt you had to. But angry that you're with someone you love? Never. I just wish you'd trusted me enough to share it sooner. Vanessa was reading through the documents again. It says here we're required to attend mandatory family therapy sessions. All of us together. Yes, Sarah confirmed. Monthly sessions with Dr. Rebecca Thornton, a family therapist who specializes in high-net-worth family dynamics and financial codependency issues. This is humiliating, Marcus muttered. This is necessary, I corrected. We need professional help. I need professional help to understand how I created this dynamic. You need professional help to understand how to have healthy relationships. What happens at the end of 5 years? Trevor asked. How is the money distributed? That depends entirely on you, Sarah said. The committee will make recommendations. Your mother will make the final decisions. Some of you might receive full portions, some partial, some nothing. It will be based on genuine transformation, not performance. How are we supposed to prove we've changed? Vanessa asked. By changing, I said simply. By actually doing the work, by showing up consistently, by being honest, by building financial independence so you don't need my money, by treating me like a person you love instead of a resource you use. It's not complicated, Vanessa. It's just hard. Leonard stood. Mrs. Hartwell has another meeting. We'll leave you with the documentation. First therapy session is scheduled for next Friday at 10 a.m. Attendance is mandatory. Any absence without legitimate medical emergency will be noted in your files. What happens if we just walk away? Marcus asked. If we say, forget the inheritance? We don't want to play this game? I looked at my oldest son. Then you walk away, and at least we'll all know the truth about what mattered to you. His face hardened. You're really going to make us jump through hoops for money that should be ours anyway? It's not yours, I said quietly. It never was. It's mine, until I decide otherwise. That's how inheritance works, Marcus. It's a gift, not a right. And I'm done giving gifts to people who don't appreciate them. He stood up. Come on, Brittany, we're leaving. Marcus, I said. He paused at the door. If you walk out that door right now, without even trying to understand what I'm saying, without even attempting to do the work, then you're proving everything I said is true. You're proving you care more about the money than about me. He stood there for a long moment. I could see the war happening inside him. Pride versus pragmatism. Anger versus need. Finally, he sat back down. Smart choice, Leonard said dryly. We're doing this because we love you, Vanessa said, but her voice lacked conviction. No, I said. Right now, you're doing this because you want the inheritance. But maybe, if you actually do the work, maybe eventually you'll do it because you love me. That's what I'm hoping for. That's why I'm bothering with any of this instead of just writing you all out completely. Can we go now? Isabel asked from the screen. I have group therapy in 20 minutes. Yes, I said. You can all go. Think about what was said here. Read the documents and decide what kind of people you want to be. They filed out slowly. Marcus and Brittany first, not looking at me. Vanessa paused like she wanted to say something, then just shook her head and left. Trevor and Isabel logged off their video calls without goodbye. Only Damien remained on the screen. Mom? Yes? I'm sorry. I'm truly, genuinely sorry. Not about the inheritance. About not being there. About lying for 4 years. About all of it. I know you are, I said. And Damien, I'd like to meet Dylan properly. Maybe dinner next week? His eyes filled with tears. Really? Really? He seems lovely. And he was right. You should have come to the hospital. Both of you. We will next time, Dylan said from off-screen. If there is a next time, which I hope there isn't. I hope you stay healthy for decades. I smiled. It felt strange, smiling after everything. Thank you, Dylan. I look forward to getting to know you. After they disconnected, I sat alone with Leonard and Sarah in my dining room. The silence felt heavy. That was brutal, I said finally. That was necessary, Sarah corrected. And you did well. You held your ground. Will it work? I asked. Can people really change like this? Some will, Leonard said. Some won't. But at least now you'll know the truth. I already know the truth, I said quietly. They don't love me. Not really. Not as a person. They love what I provide. Maybe, Sarah said, or maybe they love you, but never learned how to show it properly because you never required them to. These next 5 years will answer that question definitively. I looked around my beautiful dining room. All this wealth, all this comfort, all this success, and I'd never felt more alone. What have I done? I whispered. You've given them a chance, Sarah said. A chance to become better people. A chance to build real relationships. A chance to earn what they thought they were entitled to. That's more generous than they deserve, frankly. I'm their mother, I said. It's my job to give them chances. No, Leonard said firmly. Your job was to raise them. That job ended years ago. Now your job is to live your life and let them sink or swim on their own merit. What you're doing now? This is mercy, Eloise, not punishment. Mercy. I hoped he was right. I hoped this wasn't the end of my family, but the beginning of something honest. But as I sat in that big empty house that night, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd lost my children years ago and was only now admitting it to myself. The question was whether I could get them back, or if they'd ever really been mine at all. 3 weeks passed after that confrontation. 3 weeks of silence so complete, it felt like my children had vanished from the earth. No calls, no texts, no emails, nothing. I'd expected anger, maybe pushback, possibly some attempts at manipulation. What I hadn't expected was total radio silence. It was like I'd pressed a nuclear button and everyone had simply evacuated. Patricia called me twice during those weeks to check in. She'd become a real friend somehow, this woman who'd witnessed my abandonment and refused to pretend it was normal. "How are you holding up?" she'd ask. "I don't know," I'd answer honestly. "I either made the best decision of my life or the worst. Right now, I can't tell which." "Give it time," she'd say. "Real change doesn't happen overnight." Dr. Rebecca Thornton, the family therapist, called on the Thursday before our scheduled first session. "Mrs. Hartwell, I need to inform you that I've received emails from all 5 of your children requesting the session be postponed." My heart sank. "All 5? "Yes. Marcus claims a work emergency. Vanessa says she has a court date that can't be moved. Trevor is supposedly dealing with investor litigation. Damien has depositions in Chicago. Isabel is still in residential treatment and claims she can't get a day pass. So none of them are coming. That was my understanding from their individual requests. However, I responded to each of them explaining that attendance is non-negotiable per the estate terms, and that failure to appear will be documented. I gave them until this evening to confirm attendance or face the consequences outlined in your attorney's documentation. And I'll know by 6 p.m. I wanted to prepare you for the possibility that some or all may simply refuse to show up. If that happens, it will tell you everything you need to know about their priorities. That evening, I sat in my study watching the clock. 6 p.m. came and went. My phone didn't ring. At 6:45, Dr. Thornton finally called. 4 confirmed, she said. Marcus, Vanessa, Damien, and Trevor will attend. Isabel's treatment center is faxing documentation that she genuinely cannot leave the facility yet. That absence won't be held against her. 4 out of 5, I said. I suppose that's something. It's a start, Dr. Thornton agreed. See you Friday at 10. Friday morning arrived cold and gray. I dressed carefully, choosing a navy blue suit that made me look professional and composed, even though I felt anything but. Sarah had advised me to treat this like a business meeting, not an emotional family gathering. You're establishing new terms, she'd said. Act like it. Dr. Thornton's office was in a restored brownstone in downtown Greenwich. Tasteful, expensive, private. I arrived 15 minutes early. The waiting room was empty. At 9:55, Marcus walked in. He looked terrible, thinner than I remembered, with dark circles under his eyes. He saw me and froze. Mom. Marcus. We stared at each other. He opened his mouth like he wanted to say something, then closed it and sat 3 chairs away from me. Vanessa arrived at 9:58, breathless and perfectly put together in a designer suit. She nodded at me, nodded at Marcus, and sat on the opposite side of the room. Trevor rushed in at exactly 10 a.m., looking rumpled and stressed. Sorry, traffic was insane. He hesitated, then sat next to Marcus. 10:05. No Damien. 10:07. Still no Damien. At 10:09, Dr. Thornton's assistant appeared. Dr. Thornton will see you now, all of you. We're still waiting for our brother, Vanessa said. Dr. Thornton starts sessions on time, the assistant said pleasantly but firmly. If your brother arrives late, he'll join in progress. We filed into her office. It was large, warmly lit, with a semicircle of comfortable chairs facing Dr. Thornton's seat. She was a woman in her early 60s with silver hair and intelligent eyes that seemed to see right through you. Good morning, she said. Please, sit anywhere you'd like. I chose the chair directly facing her. Marcus sat to my left, Vanessa to my right. Trevor took the chair next to Marcus. One chair remained empty. Before we begin, I want to establish some ground rules, Dr. Thornton said. This is a safe space for honesty. You may say difficult things. You may hear difficult things. The goal is not to wound each other, but to understand each other. Everything said here remains confidential unless someone expresses intent to harm themselves or others. Understood? We all nodded. Good. Now, Mrs. Hartwell, would you like to start by explaining why we're all here? I took a breath. I think they know why we're here. I'd like to hear it in your words, addressed to them, not to me. I looked at my children. Marcus was staring at the floor. Vanessa was sitting rigidly upright. Trevor was fidgeting with his phone. We're here because our family is broken, I said. Because I enabled you for decades, and you took advantage of that enabling, and now we're all paying the price. That's not fair, Vanessa said immediately. You're acting like we're these terrible people when you just what? Dr. Thornton interrupted gently. Finish that thought, Vanessa. Vanessa faltered. When we had our own lives, our own problems. Tell your mother that. Look at her and say it. Vanessa turned to me. We had our own lives, Mom. Our own problems. We couldn't just drop everything. For 15 days? I asked quietly. You couldn't find 1 hour in 15 days? The door opened. Damien rushed in, Dylan behind him. I'm so sorry we're late. Flight was delayed from Chicago and... He stopped when he saw Dr. Thornton's expression. You're 12 minutes late, she said. Take your seats. This will be noted. Damien and Dylan sat in the remaining chairs. Dylan looked uncomfortable, like he wasn't sure he should be there. Dylan's presence was requested by Damien, Dr. Thornton said, reading the question on everyone's faces. If this is a family session, and Dylan is Damien's partner of 4 years, then he's family. Anyone object? Marcus looked like he wanted to object, but thought better of it. Vanessa and Trevor just stared. Good, Dr. Thornton said. Now, we were discussing why none of you could find time to visit your mother in the hospital. Marcus, you first. Why didn't you go? Marcus looked trapped. I was dealing with some financial complications, and my attorney advised... Your attorney advised you that visiting your mother might complicate your inheritance, Dr. Thornton finished. Yes, I read the briefing materials. So you chose potential money over actual human connection. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? She leaned forward. Explain it to me. Explain how anything could be more important than being there for your mother after surgery. Silence. Vanessa? I was in the middle of a divorce. My husband was trying to destroy me financially and emotionally. I was barely holding it together. And your mother was recovering from emergency surgery alone. Did you think she was holding it together? Vanessa's composure cracked. I don't know what you want me to say. I was drowning. I couldn't save her when I was drowning. She wasn't asking you to save her, Dr. Thornton said softly. She was asking you to show up. There's a difference. Trevor raised his hand slightly like we were in school. I was in San Francisco trying to keep my business from completely imploding. I know that sounds bad, but I genuinely thought... Your business was already imploded, Dr. Thornton said. You were bankrupt. You were lying to your mother about the state of your company while avoiding her hospital bed. Why? Because I was ashamed, Trevor burst out. Because I've failed 3 times, and I couldn't face telling her I'd failed again. I couldn't look her in the eye and admit that all her belief in me, all her money, all her support, it was all wasted. So instead, you abandoned her, Dr. Thornton said. You let your shame about disappointing her become more important than her actual needs. Trevor put his head in his hands. Dr. Thornton turned to Damien. And you? Damien glanced at Dylan, then at me. I was afraid that if I came to the hospital, I'd have to bring Dylan. And if I brought Dylan, I'd have to come out to my family in the middle of my mother's medical crisis. I was a coward. I chose hiding over showing up. You had 4 years to come out, Dr. Thornton observed. 4 years before this crisis. Why didn't you? Because I was afraid she'd reject me, Damien said quietly. Afraid she'd be disappointed. Afraid I'd lose her love. So instead, you just didn't show her any love, Dr. Thornton said. Do you see the irony? Damien nodded, tears in his eyes. Dr. Thornton sat back. Here's what I'm hearing. Each of you had legitimate struggles, legitimate fears, legitimate crises. But each of you decided that your individual crisis was more important than your mother's needs. Each of you chose self-protection over showing up. Each of you put your own emotional comfort ahead of her literal physical recovery. We didn't mean to hurt her, Marcus said. Intent isn't magic, Dr. Thornton replied. You still hurt her. The question is, what are you going to do about it now? Vanessa spoke up. We're here, aren't we? Doesn't that count for something? You're here because not being here costs you money, Dr. Thornton said bluntly. Let's not pretend this is purely motivated by love and regret. You're here because the inheritance requires it. That's not entirely fair, Damien said. I mean, yes, that's why we're all sitting in these chairs right now, but I am sorry, genuinely sorry. Not about the money, about hurting Mom. Dr. Thornton looked at me. Eloise, do you believe him? I studied Damien's face. The tears looked real. The regret looked real. But I'd believed so many things about my children that turned out to be wrong. I don't know, I admitted. I want to, but I don't know. That's honest, Dr. Thornton said. And honesty is where we start rebuilding. If we can rebuild. That's the question we'll spend the next 5 years answering. She looked at each of them. You all have a choice. You can do the bare minimum to check boxes and hope for inheritance. Or you can actually use this as an opportunity to become better people and build real relationships with your mother. The first option might get you money. The second option might get you a family. Marcus stood abruptly. I need some air. Sit down, Dr. Thornton said firmly. You don't get to run away anymore. None of you do. That's the whole point. He sat. This is our time, Dr. Thornton continued. 50 minutes every month where we tell the truth, where we face what's broken, where we try to fix it. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to hurt, but it's necessary. She looked at me with something like compassion. Eloise, you asked if they love you. I can't answer that yet, but I can tell you this. Love without action is just a feeling, and feelings without follow-through are meaningless. What we're going to discover together is whether your children can learn to love you with action, not just words. I looked at my 4 children sitting in that office, looking miserable and defensive and scared. Part of me wanted to tell Dr. Thornton to forget the whole thing, that we could go back to how it was before. But I couldn't, because how it was before had led me to 15 days alone in a hospital bed. Okay, I said. Let's find out. The therapy sessions continued weekly for the first month, then moved to the mandated monthly schedule. Each session peeled back another layer of dysfunction, revealed another truth none of us wanted to face. In session 3, Marcus finally admitted that he resented me. You were never there, he said, his voice shaking. When I was a kid, you were always working, always at the office. Dad was around more than you were, and he was building an entire company. I raised myself, basically. And then when you retired and suddenly wanted to be Mother of the Year, I was already grown, already damaged. You can't fix with money what you broke with absence. His words hit me like a physical blow, because he was right. I had been absent. I had prioritized building wealth over building relationships. And then I'd tried to compensate with generosity, thinking money could substitute for the time I'd lost. In session 5, Vanessa broke down completely. You want to know why I married Preston? Because he was the first man who ever made me feel like I was enough. You were always so perfect, Mom. Perfect career, perfect marriage, perfect life. I could never measure up, and Preston made me feel like I didn't have to. And then he destroyed me, just like I always knew someone would. Because deep down, I'm not actually worth loving. You taught me that. I never said you weren't worth loving, I protested. You didn't have to say it, Vanessa shot back. You showed it. Every missed recital, every forgotten birthday because you were in a meeting. Every time you chose work over me. I learned that love is conditional, that you have to earn it through achievement, and I've been trying to earn it my entire life. Dr. Thornton let us sit in that pain, didn't try to fix it or smooth it over, just let it exist. By session 7, even Trevor's eternal optimism had cracked. I keep failing because I'm terrified of succeeding, he admitted. Because if I succeed, I have to maintain it, and I don't know how. Dad made everything look easy. You made everything look easy. And I'm not like you. I'm not brilliant or driven or capable. I'm just a guy who had every advantage and still can't get his life together. And every time you gave me more money for another business, it felt like proof that you saw it too, that you knew I'd fail, so you were just funding my inevitable collapse. I gave you money because I believed in you, I said. No, Trevor said quietly. You gave me money because it was easier than having a real conversation about why I kept failing. Money was your solution to everything. But some problems can't be solved with a check, Mom. Some problems require actual presence, actual difficult conversations, actual parenting. The words kept coming, session after session. Truths I didn't want to hear. Pain I'd caused without meaning to. Damage I'd done while thinking I was helping. And through it all, I had to face my own truth. I'd used money as a substitute for emotional availability. I'd built a fortune instead of building intimacy. I'd given them everything except what they actually needed. A mother who was present, not just providing. 3 months into therapy, something shifted. It was session 10. Marcus came in looking different, calmer. He'd sold his BMW and bought a used Honda. Moved from his expensive apartment to a smaller place in Queens. "I'm rebuilding," he told the group. "Actually rebuilding, not pretending. I took a job at a firm where I'm not the boss, learning to work for someone else, learning to live within my means. And it's humiliating and hard and I hate it, but it's also honest." He looked at me. "I'm not doing this for the inheritance anymore, Mom. I mean, I won't lie and say I don't still want it. But that's not why I'm here today. I'm here because Dr. Thornton is right. I need to become a better person. And I can't do that while blaming all my problems on you." 2 weeks later, Vanessa's divorce finalized. She got less than she'd wanted, but enough to survive. She came to session 11 and said, "I've been in therapy 3 times a week. Individual therapy, not just this. Working on my eating disorder, my perfectionism, my need for external validation. And my therapist asked me something last week that I can't stop thinking about." "What did she ask?" Dr. Thornton prompted. "She asked if I'd ever told my mother I was proud of her." Vanessa looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. "And I realized I haven't. I've spent my whole life trying to make you proud of me, but I never once told you that I'm proud of you. That what you built was incredible. That going from poverty to millions while raising 5 kids was extraordinary. I've only ever seen you as someone to compete with or resent, never as someone to admire." Her voice broke. "I'm proud of you, Mom. I'm so proud of you, and I'm sorry I never said it before." I started crying. Couldn't help it. 34 years I'd been Vanessa's mother, and I'd never heard those words from her. Trevor's transformation was slower but visible. He got a real job. Entry-level position at a tech company, working under someone half his age. He came to session 13, looking exhausted. "It's brutal," he admitted. "Taking orders from a 25-year-old who calls me dude and explains basic concepts like, I'm an idiot, but I'm learning. Actually learning how businesses work instead of just having grand visions with no execution." He'd also started attending a support group for entrepreneurs who'd failed. "Turns out I'm not the only person who tanked multiple businesses while living off family money," he said with a self-deprecating laugh. "We sit around and talk about entitlement and accountability and how to build something real instead of something that looks good on Instagram." Damien and Dylan started coming to sessions together regularly. Watching them interact, seeing the genuine love between them, made me realize how much I'd missed, how much Damien had hidden because he was afraid of my judgment. In session 15, Damien said, "I told my partners at the firm about Dylan, officially. Brought him to the firm holiday party. And you know what happened? Nothing. Nobody cared. A few people congratulated us. Most people just went back to talking about billable hours. All that fear, all that hiding, and it turned out the only person who couldn't accept me was me." He looked at me. "I blamed you for my fear, Mom. Made you into this judgmental figure in my head who would reject me. But I never gave you the chance to prove me wrong. That wasn't fair to you. And I'm sorry." But Isabel's journey was the hardest to watch. She completed her residential treatment and moved to a sober living facility. She came to session 17, thin and fragile, 90 days sober, and said, "I need to tell the truth about something, about why I started using pills in the first place." We all waited. "My fiancé didn't just cheat on me," she said quietly. "He was cheating on me with my best friend for 8 months. And when I found out, when I confronted them, they told me it was my fault, that I was too needy, too emotional, too much, that I was exhausting to love. And I believed them, because you all taught me that I was too much." She looked around at her siblings. "You called me the baby, the spoiled one, the princess. You made me feel like wanting attention was a character flaw, like needing love was weakness. And Mom, you gave me money, but you didn't give me boundaries. You didn't teach me how to be a functional adult because you were too busy protecting me from every consequence." "I was trying to take care of you," I said. "I know. But you can't protect someone into strength. You just create fragility. And when life got hard, when someone hurt me, I didn't have any tools to cope except pills, because I'd never learned to handle pain. You always fixed everything before I had to feel it. Dr. Thornton leaned forward. Isabel, what do you need from your mother now? I need her to let me fall, Isabel said, and not catch me. I need her to love me enough to let me struggle, because that's the only way I'm going to learn to stand up on my own. The 5-month mark brought our most brutal session yet. Sarah Brennan attended as an observer, taking notes for the committee evaluation. Her presence made everyone tense. Dr. Thornton started with a direct question. I want each of you to answer honestly. If the inheritance didn't exist, would you still be doing this work? Silence. Marcus, you first. Marcus thought for a long time. 6 months ago, I would have said no. Absolutely not. I was only here for the money. But now, I honestly don't know. I think I'd still be in individual therapy. I think I'd still be working on my financial responsibility. Would I be in family therapy? Maybe not. But I'd be doing some of the work. Vanessa? Yes, she said immediately. The money got me here, but it's not keeping me here. I need this. Not for inheritance, for survival. I was destroying myself trying to be perfect, and this is the first place I've been able to admit that I'm broken. So yes, I'd still be doing this. Trevor? He smiled sadly. Probably not family therapy, but definitely personal work. I can't keep failing. I can't keep being this person. So even without the money, I'd have to change something. This just accelerated it. Damien? Yes, he said, Dylan's hand in his. Coming out freed me. Learning to be honest freed me. I'd keep doing that work regardless. The inheritance is... He paused. It's not nothing. But it's not everything anymore either. Dr. Thornton looked at me. Eloise, do you believe them? I think I'm starting to, I said carefully. I see changes, real changes, but I'm also terrified they'll disappear the moment the evaluation period ends. That's fair, she said. Trust has to be rebuilt slowly, which brings me to something important. We're at month 5. You have 55 months left, but I'm recommending to the committee that we do a midpoint evaluation at month 30. Give everyone a sense of where they stand. Sarah nodded, making notes. But there's something else we need to address, Dr. Thornton continued. Eloise, you've been coming to these sessions and listening to your children tell you how you failed them, how your absence hurt them, how your money damaged them. And you've absorbed that, accepted responsibility. But I notice you never defend yourself, never explain your side. Why is that? I shifted uncomfortably. Because they're right. I did fail them. But you also succeeded in extraordinary ways. You built a fortune from nothing while raising 5 children. You worked yourself to exhaustion to give them opportunities you never had. You sacrificed years of your life to their future. Why don't you ever talk about that? Because it doesn't matter, I said. They needed a mother, and I gave them a provider. Intention doesn't erase impact. No, but context matters, Dr. Thornton said. Marcus, did you know your mother grew up in poverty? He blinked. I mean, vaguely. She never really talked about it. Eloise, tell them. Tell them what poverty meant. I didn't want to. Didn't want to make excuses or ask for sympathy. But Dr. Thornton's expression was insistent. I shared a bedroom with 3 sisters until I was 16, I said quietly. We had 2 dresses each for school, one for wearing, one for washing. I worked from age 12, babysitting, cleaning houses, whatever I could do. My mother cleaned office buildings at night. My father drove a delivery truck and drank most of his paycheck. We ate government cheese and day-old bread from the bakery discount bin. I looked at their faces. They were listening in a way they'd never listened before. When I got pregnant with you, Marcus, I had $5,000 to my name and a dream of never being that poor again. Never having my children know what it feels like to be hungry or cold or ashamed of where you live. So yes, I worked. I worked like a demon, because every hour I worked was an hour closer to security, to safety, to never having to choose between rent and food. My voice was shaking now, and I know I was absent. I know I prioritized wrong. But I need you to understand that I was running from something terrifying. Poverty isn't just about money. It's about powerlessness. It's about watching your parents break themselves and still fall short. I swore my children would never feel that fear. And maybe I went too far in the opposite direction. Maybe I gave you so much comfort that you never learned resilience. But it came from love. Broken, imperfect, absent love. But love, nonetheless. Vanessa was crying. Why didn't you ever tell us this? Because I was ashamed, I admitted. I wanted you to see me as strong and successful, not as the poor girl who got lucky. And I didn't want you to feel guilty about what you had. I wanted you to enjoy your advantages, not carry my trauma. Marcus spoke quietly. I spent my whole childhood resenting you for not being there, and I never once thought about why you were working so hard. You were a child, I said. You shouldn't have had to think about it. That was my responsibility, and I failed to balance it properly. Trevor wiped his eyes. All those businesses you funded. You were trying to give me the opportunities you never had. Yes, but I should have taught you discipline and responsibility first, should have made you work for things instead of just handing them to you. I know that now. Dr. Thornton let us sit in that revelation for a moment. Then she said, here's what I'm seeing. A woman who survived poverty built a fortune to protect her children from her own trauma. But in doing so, she created different trauma. She gave them material security but emotional scarcity. And now, 3 decades later, everyone is trying to undo those patterns and build something healthier. She looked at each of us. The question is whether you can forgive each other. Not forget, not pretend it didn't happen, but actually forgive the failures and move forward. I don't know if I can, Marcus said honestly. Not yet, but I want to try. Me too, Vanessa whispered. Same, Trevor and Damien said almost simultaneously. Dr. Thornton turned to me. Eloise? I looked at my 4 children. Isabel was video calling from her sober living facility. I saw them clearly for the first time in years, not as the people I'd wanted them to be, not as extensions of my dreams or repositories for my money, but as complicated, damaged, struggling humans trying to do better. I forgive you, I said. All of you. For the hospital. For the years of taking without giving, for all of it, because I helped create the dynamic that allowed it. And now we're all trying to create something different. I took a breath. But I need you to understand something. Forgiveness doesn't mean the evaluation stops. It doesn't mean the conditions disappear. You still have to prove yourselves over the next 4 years. Not to earn my love, you have that, but to earn the inheritance. Those are separate things now. We understand, Damien said. The others nodded. Sarah closed her notebook. I'll report to the committee that significant progress is being made, but also that the work is ongoing and outcomes remain uncertain. As we filed out of Dr. Thornton's office that day, something unexpected happened. Marcus hugged me. Actually hugged me. Not the stiff, obligatory embrace from before, but a real hug. Thank you, he whispered, for not giving up on us, for caring enough to force this. Vanessa joined the hug, then Trevor, then Damien and Dylan. We stood in that hallway, this broken family trying to put itself back together, and for the first time in months, I felt something like hope. It wasn't fixed, we weren't healed, but we were trying, and maybe, just maybe, that was enough. 2 years into the 5-year evaluation period, the committee conducted their first formal midpoint assessment. I sat in Leonard's conference room while he and Sarah presented their findings. Marcus has achieved complete financial independence, Leonard reported. He's paid off 70% of his debt through salary alone. No family assistance. His consulting work is modest but legitimate. He's living within his means for the first time in his adult life. The committee rates his progress as excellent. Vanessa has maintained employment and therapy, Sarah continued. She's dating again, healthily this time. Setting boundaries. She visits you twice monthly without being asked and calls weekly just to talk. The committee rates her progress as very good. Trevor completed his 1-year anniversary at his job last month. He's been promoted twice. He's also paying back his investors, slowly but consistently. $10,000 repaid so far out of $580,000 owed, but he's doing it. The committee rates his progress as good with strong trajectory. Damien and Dylan got married 6 months ago, Leonard said with a slight smile. You attended, obviously. Damien has maintained complete honesty with the family and consistent presence. The committee rates his progress as excellent. And Isabel, Sarah's voice softened, has been sober for 26 months. She's living independently, working steadily, attending meetings daily. She's the only one who calls you just to say she loves you with no other agenda. The committee rates her progress as exceptional. I absorbed this information. 2 years ago, I'd been lying in a hospital bed abandoned and heartbroken. Now my children were becoming people I actually recognized, people I could be proud of. "What's your recommendation?" I asked. "That the evaluation continue as planned," Sarah said. 3 more years. But we're cautiously optimistic that at least 4 of the 5 will qualify for full or substantial distribution. And the 5th? Trevor still has significant debt and a pattern of incomplete follow-through. He's improving, but whether he can sustain it for 3 more years remains to be seen. That evening, I invited all of them to dinner at the house. Not a therapy session, not a formal meeting, just family dinner. They came, all 5 of them. Isabel had graduated from sober living and was renting a small apartment in Stamford. She arrived first, carrying flowers she'd grown herself on her tiny balcony. "Impatiens," she said shyly. "I remembered they're your favorite." Marcus and Brittany came next. Brittany looked different, less polished, more genuine. She hugged me, and it didn't feel forced. "Thank you for having us, Eloise." We'd reached first-name basis 6 months ago. It felt right. Vanessa arrived with a man I'd met once before, Daniel, her boyfriend of 4 months. He was kind, steady, completely unlike Preston. "I hope it's okay I brought him," she said. "Of course it's okay. He's important to you." Damien and Dylan came together, still in that honeymoon phase of newlyweds. Dylan kissed my cheek. "Thanks for dinner, Mom." He'd started calling me Mom 3 months ago. It made me cry the first time. Trevor was last, apologizing as always. But he came. That was what mattered. We sat around the dining room table, where 2 years ago I'd confronted them with attorneys and documents and ultimatums. Tonight, there were no lawyers, no evaluations, just pot roast and roasted vegetables and homemade bread that Isabel had baked. "This is really good, Marcus said, reaching for a second slice. "Thanks. Baking is part of my recovery. Keeps my hands busy." We ate and talked. Real conversation. Trevor told a genuinely funny story about his boss. Vanessa talked about a campaign she was proud of. Damien and Dylan discussed their plans to adopt. "Adopt?" I said, my heart catching. "We've been talking about it," Damien said. "We want kids, and there are so many children who need homes. We're just starting the process. But yeah, maybe in a year or 2. The thought of grandchildren, of watching Damien parent with Dylan, of seeing them build something beautiful together, it filled me with unexpected joy. After dinner, Marcus asked if he could speak to me privately. We went to my study. "I need to tell you something," he said. "And I need you to not interrupt until I'm finished." I nodded. "I hated you for most of my adult life. I hated that you were absent when I was young and smothering when I was grown. I hated that money was your answer to everything. I hated that I couldn't seem to succeed without your help and couldn't seem to be happy with it. And when you were in the hospital, I chose potential inheritance over being there for you. I chose money over you, and I've had to live with that for 2 years." His voice was shaking. "But here's what I've learned. I hated you because it was easier than hating myself, easier than admitting I was weak and entitled and scared. You gave me every advantage, and I squandered it because I didn't know how to handle success or failure. That's not your fault. That's mine." He looked at me with tears in his eyes. "I don't know if I'll ever fully forgive myself for not being there when you needed me. But I want you to know that I'm genuinely trying to become someone worthy of your love. Not your money, your love. And whether I get a single dollar of inheritance or not, I'm going to keep trying, because you deserve better than who I was." I pulled him into a hug. My firstborn son, finally being honest, finally being real. "I'm proud of you," I whispered. "So proud of who you're becoming." He sobbed into my shoulder like a child. We stayed like that for a long time. Over the next year, the transformations continued. Vanessa got engaged to Daniel. Their wedding was small, intimate, nothing like her first. She asked me to help her get ready, and we spent the morning together, just the 2 of us, talking and laughing and crying. "I'm happy, Mom," she said, looking at herself in the mirror. Actually happy. Not performing happiness. Not trying to prove anything. Just happy. You deserve it, sweetheart. So do you, she said, turning to me. Are you happy? I thought about it. I'm getting there. I'm learning to be a person instead of just a provider. Learning to have boundaries. Learning to let you all fail and succeed on your own. It's hard, but yes, I think I'm happy. Trevor hit a setback at month 32. Lost his job due to company downsizing. I waited for him to come asking for money. He didn't. Instead, he called to tell me he'd filed for unemployment and was applying for new positions. I'll be okay, Mom, he said. It's scary, but I've got savings for the first time in my life. 3 months of expenses. That's more security than I've ever had. I'm here if you need me, I said carefully. I know, but I need to do this myself. Need to prove I can land on my feet without your money catching me. He found a new job in 6 weeks. Better position, better pay. He called me crying with relief. I did it, Mom. I actually did it on my own. Isabel celebrated 3 years sober. Her sponsor came to the celebration party. So did 12 other people from her meetings. Watching her surrounded by a community she'd built herself, seeing her strong and healthy and genuinely content, I realized she'd become the person I'd always hoped she could be. I'm going back to school, she told me that night. Addiction counseling. I want to help people the way people helped me. That's wonderful, honey. Will you come to my graduation? When I finish, I wouldn't miss it for anything. Year 4 brought the second formal evaluation. All 5 children received positive reports. Even Trevor, who'd struggled, had demonstrated consistent effort and genuine growth. The committee is prepared to recommend full distribution to 4 of the 5 upon conclusion of the evaluation period, Sarah reported. Damien, Vanessa, and Isabel are certain. Marcus is highly likely. Trevor remains conditional based on continued progress. And what do you think? I asked. Setting aside the committee. You've watched them for 4 years. Do you think they've actually changed? Sarah considered carefully. I think they've done real work. I think the changes are genuine, not performative. But I also think the real test will come after the evaluation ends, when there's no more oversight, no more mandatory therapy. That's when you'll know for certain. As year 5 approached, Dr. Thornton called a final family session. We've been doing this for almost 5 years, she said. 60 months of hard work, painful honesty, and genuine transformation. I'm proud of all of you. She looked at me. Eloise, you came here with a broken family and a desperate plan. You've rebuilt something real. Not perfect, not what you originally dreamed of, but real and honest and actually functional. Can I say something? Vanessa asked. Dr. Thornton nodded. Mom, 5 years ago you gave us an ultimatum. Change or lose everything. We all thought you were being cruel, vindictive, but you were actually giving us the greatest gift you'd ever given us. You were giving us the chance to become real people instead of perpetual children. You loved us enough to let us struggle, and I will be grateful for that for the rest of my life. The others agreed, even Marcus, even Trevor. Whatever happens with the inheritance, Damien said, we're better people because of this. Better partners, better siblings, better humans. That's worth more than money. On the final day of the 5-year evaluation period, I sat with Leonard and Sarah reviewing the committee's recommendations. Then I went home and wrote my own decision letter. Some of my children would receive full inheritance. Some would receive partial. The amounts and conditions would be revealed at the formal reading. But regardless of money, I had what I'd really wanted all along. I had my children back, not as dependents, not as users, but as complicated, flawed, trying their best adult humans who actually showed up when it mattered. 2 weeks ago, I had a minor medical procedure. Nothing serious, outpatient, but I mentioned it to the kids. All 5 showed up at the hospital, sat with me, held my hand, argued about who would drive me home. Marcus took the day off work. Vanessa rescheduled client meetings. Trevor, Damien, and Isabel all rearranged their lives to be there for a 2-hour outpatient procedure. I cried in that recovery room, not from pain, from relief, from joy, from the overwhelming realization that I finally had what I'd always needed, a family, a real, messy, imperfect, showing-up family. And that I realized as I held Marcus's hand on one side and Vanessa's on the other, was worth more than $12 million. It was worth everything.